Men have this sick thing where they get turned on when you chase them. They get turned on when you cry. They get turned on when you're angry. They get turned on at your distress and at your pain. They're very, very sadistic, and they love for you to chase them. They love for you to cry over them. They love it.
A lot of y'all like to argue with men. I'm not arguing with no man. You like to argue with men not knowing that they get an emotional high off of any kind of emotional reaction from you. I'm not arguing with that man. You're not getting a free show. You got to realize that the reason why men are so overly freaked out is because they only exist in an exasperated, overly hyper sacral chakra. It's messed up. And that includes extreme anger, extreme rage, extreme euphoria. This is why they're always in an extreme or blocked. So when you fight with him and you're trying to make him care about something that he should care about or be responsible for his offspring because he should, you can be right until you're blue in the face. But if he don't care, he won't care. And you having the exchange with him is just feeding his ego at the very least. Or at the very worst, it's draining you of your precious energy that you could be using with other women to create infrastructures around them.
Before we get straight into the video, I'm going to start by saying this. A man who loves you will not put you through pain to get pleasure. He will not put you through pain to satisfy himself, to get pleasure out of it, for his own selfish pleasure and selfish desires. Why do some men get turned on when you cry or when you're in pain? A lot of women have been asking themselves this question, and what I'm going to tell you is this: men love pain. Men love to give you pain. They love to see you in pain, and they love when you give them pain. They love when you give it back to them.
I recently saw a video of this woman. She was standing outside of her boyfriend's car. She was like beating on the glass, trying to get him to open up the door, and he was filming her. And he said, "For my safety and for yours, I'm not going to open the door for you." And she just is crying hysterically. She gets so upset to the point where she actually is smashing her head against the glass door, trying to get him to come out. The thing about it is, he started sounding like he was enjoying how she was melting down. He was like, they're going to call the cops on you. They're going to take you away. Like, he was enjoying the pain that she was in. I talked about this before, but I have to talk about it again because this video really reminded me of it. And that is, stay away from people who find your pain delicious. There are some people who go out of their way to push you to the point of breaking because they find some kind of sick pleasure in watching you crumble, watching you fold. It doesn't just have to be a romantic partner. Sometimes it's a parent or a friend or a coworker. Some people literally, they find their greatest joy in your sorrow and in your pain.
Okay, y'all, in that other video I made about women having sex after labor or whatever, it reminded me of something. It reminded me how a lot of men are disgusting, filthy creatures. Cause I'll never forget that video I made that went viral on Twitter. I basically described how basically a lot of men get sexually aroused when their partner is in horrific pain or when they're sad or very angry. Like, cause it brought back some memories, cause how I had surgery while I was in pain, I was sad, whatever. My man still tried to have sex with me. Like, bro, what the fuck?
I had a client yesterday remind me of how deceitful the narcissist can be. How when you're upset and you're emotional and going through this bullshit with this gaslighting asshole, how they get a twinkle in their motherfucking eye. How it inflates their motherfucking chest to see you hurt and upset. How they perk up when they know that they've caused you emotional distress or just stress, period. They enjoy it. They let you know that shit is done with intent. That motherfucker is coming in maliciously to cause you harm. They're not coming in, as they say, to build. They're coming in to motherfucking siphon, destroy, and implode. They want your shit to implode. They want you in a worse predicament than you were before you met that raggedy motherfucker. That's the goal. To see you crushed emotionally, spiritually, financially, and some more shit. Don't get it twisted. These motherfuckers are demonic. That's why it's best not to engage with they motherfucking asses. That's why they tell you to go no contact, so you can get rid of they motherfucking ass so that you can heal. Because you cannot heal with that motherfucking devil laying next to your motherfucking ass at night.
She said, oh my God, every time I cry, my boyfriend gets turned on. Like, I find it really disturbing. Is it normal, or is this kind of a thing? So some narcissistic people, toxic people, whatever, will absolutely get turned on by your tears. Like, the vulnerability in the moment is what turns them on. And I, like, not trying to kink shame anybody or whatever, but this is literally how my mind used to work. And I used to be ashamed of it. Like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, when people are crying in front of you, like women are crying in front of me, I just want to, I don't know, it's like an aphrodisiac. It's just like everything becomes heightened. And so I asked my therapist about this, right? And she was just like, it's the vulnerability, right? It's the vulnerability of the other person is expressing. And it's your your chance to play the hero. Like, you think doing this will fix everything, right? You just like, it turns you on and like, hey, you know what? I know you're crying right now, but I got something that can make you feel bad. I got something to make the tears go away. You know what I mean? And that's just a super simplistic explanation of it right there, y'all.
Pain is close to pleasure. Why do people want what they can't have? Why do people go back to relationships they shouldn't be in? Why do people sit in tattoo parlors getting sleeves done? It's painful, but they're addicted to the pain. Pain is close to pleasure. That's why. The same endorphins released when you're experiencing something pleasurable are released when you're experiencing something painful. So just give him a little bit of pain. Like, make him wait. That's the perfect amount of pain. Just forcing him to wait. Pain, like, perfect. Go away with the girls for a weekend. Go on a night out. Perfect amount of pain. In fact, just stop people pleasing. Just stop being so willing to go along with whatever he says, and just start doing what you want to do. That in itself, perfect amount of pain. Like, the fact that he doesn't get his own way all the time, that you're not like a nodding dog, like, yeah, I can do that, yeah, I'm free then, yeah, we'll do that. No, you don't want to do that. You're not free then. You have a life. You having a life, perfect amount of pain. Perfect.
Narcissistic men have this sick thing where they get turned on when you chase them. They get turned on when you cry. They get turned on when you're angry. They get turned on at your distress and at your pain. They're very, very sadistic, and they love for you to chase them. They love for you to cry over them. They love it. I remember one time my ex and I were arguing, and I was like crying, and I started to see like this smirk on his face. And I'm like, why do you look so happy right now? Like, why do you look like you're enjoying this? He's like, I don't know. I kind of like when you're mad, because then we make up and blah, blah, blah. Like, which was obviously not true. He just liked when I was upset and when I was in pain. So yeah, be careful whenever you're with a guy and they seem to get like a rise out of your pain, your sadness, your hurt, your anger. They're more than likely a narcissist.
At 23 years old, I realized that there are men in this world that absolutely enjoy. They thrive. They get a surge of ecstasy through watching you cry. And the way I found this out was I was in a relationship for close to 2 years, and I was having a disagreement with my partner, and I started crying. And his immediate reaction was to hug me. So he hugs me, and I feel that he is erect, right? And it's pressing against my hip. And so I push him back and I go, are you? And he's like, yeah, well, it's just sometimes when you cry, it kind of turns me on. And I was visibly shocked. I did not know how to process that. And I think by that point, I had been through so many negative experiences with guys. And I just couldn't fathom, because this guy was this amazing community leader, Christian dude. Everybody looked up to him. So kind, so generous. But at that point, I realized this is all a mask. This is a ruse. And so my immediate instinct wasn't to break up with him. I actually then started processing what was happening. And I remember I started detaching from the things that he enjoyed to do. For example, because he was super religious, he liked watching this guy called Robert Morrison. I don't know if you know about him, but he is now detained. He's in jail for CP, a pastor. And I remember just feeling completely detached from this guy's sermons in the beginning. But as the relationship went on, I was like, I really don't want to watch this. And he would tell me, my ex would be like, oh, you're just trying to find any reason to get away from the Lord. Any reason. I'm like, no, there's just something about him in his eyes. I'm not feeling it. And eventually, as I was detaching, the more I cried, the more I stopped giving a fuck about hurting this man. So if I were to do anything that was fucked up and he were to catch me in a lie or whatever, literally did not care. And I've seen how that has continued on into my relationships. At this point, if a man watches me cry and I see just a smidge of a smirk and there's not a call to action to fix whatever the problem is, and my choice is not to immediately break up with him, I will make it my duty to make his life a living hell, to disrespect him and dog him out. Like I said, that was many years ago. Now, immediate reactions to break up. But back then, I think because I had went through so much traumatic stuff with guys, I really didn't know. I just didn't know how to delegate that in my brain. I was like, is this abstract art to him? What's going on? You know, and mind you, this was my 27th and final time breaking up with him. We had gone through so many fights, arguments, breakups. I mean, to the point where I've had a neighbor come outside and be like, do you need me to take care of this for you type shit? And I was like, no, I got this under control. I did not have it under control. Because when you deal with obnoxiously religious guys who are indeed lustful, but try to cover that up with their belief in God and the doctrine, these men are trying to find a way to make you submit to whatever religion it is they believe in so they can have their way with you. This man was not okay with me wearing jeans. He had a problem with my butt protruding. He had a problem with me being around male family members. And it got to the point where he started getting, I could tell that he was getting increasingly jealous of my son, a baby. He was little. My son was like, I don't know, 5. And I just was like, yeah, I gotta get rid of this guy. Thankfully, we broke up. He moved on to somebody else, and he's married to this person. The secrets I know about this man. If this girl finds out, it's fucking wraps for that marriage. But I fear she will. Because the last time I saw her picture floating in my, suggested friends on Facebook, the light has been completely sucked out of that woman's eyes. When she came into that relationship, she was gorgeous. I'm pretty sure the way she's going to leave out of that relationship is in tatters, in pieces. Now, in my personal opinion, if you have a man in your life and he feels ecstasy while watching you cry, he enjoys it, there's a smirk on his face, he's doing nothing but chuckling about it and thinking that shit's going to be sweet in 20-30 minutes or in an hour, or y'all are just going to patch things up through a makeout session or sleeping together, I'm telling you, that is the top tier level of lustful man. That, and please, do not feel any regrets when hurting him and putting him through shards of glass. Do not feel any regrets betraying him. Do not. Because that man has betrayed your fucking heart. He's betrayed your fucking soul. And he's counting on you to repeat that. He's counting on you to do the same to yourself so he can have complete control over your mind, your body, and your soul.
Have you ever been in a relationship with a man and when he sees you upset or angry, he has a smirk on his face? He sees you in pain and he's smiling. He sees you in pain. That is why they get excited when you're cursing them out, when you're crashing out, when you're being toxic, when you're acting crazy, when you're getting out of character. They get excited, they get turned on, seeing you cry, seeing you showing any kind of negative emotion. They love seeing you in pain. You could be on a sick bed dying and this man wants to have sex. You could be fighting for your life and this man wants to sleep with you. You're sick, you're bereaved, you're mourning, you may have lost someone and this man wants to have sex. I know this topic is very uncomfortable, but we're going to talk about it. There was this quote I read online which said, men will watch you struggle and want to have sex. Men will watch you struggle and the only thing they are thinking about is sleeping with you. A man will see you struggle, he doesn't want to help you, but he wants to sleep with you. There is something about your pain that gives them pleasure. There is something about seeing you sad that gets them turned on. They love to give you pain and they love when you give it back to them. That is why when you give a guy pain, he's chasing you, he's haunting you, he's doing everything. He's obsessed over you because you're giving him pain. A man is only able to fall in love with you when you activate vasopressin. If you don't activate the pain hormone, he's not going to fall in love with you. He needs to feel like he is losing something. Men love women who give them pain. They fall in love with those type of women. They obsess over those type of women. And do you know what? They spend their whole life chasing pain, basically. Looking for women who give them pain or looking for ways to give women pain. Now let's talk about the psychology behind it. Why do they love pain? Or why do they love to see you cry? First off, it's not usually about the tears. It's about what the crying represents. To some men, a crying woman represents vulnerability and emotional surrender. A crying woman represents submission. When a man sees you in that state of being vulnerable, it feeds his ego. He feels like he's the one that has power and control over you. Every time you cry for a man, every time you're getting out of character for a man, crashing out because of him, you're telling him he has the power over you. Most of the times, a guy knows he got you because you're able to cry because of him. He knows he has you wrapped around his finger because he's able to get you to crash out. So he knows he has the power over you, and all of these things excite him. That can trigger a feeling of dominance, power, and control. And if they link that to arousal, guess what? It becomes part of a sexual pattern. Sometimes this happens because pain and arousal can overlap in the brain. Both release adrenaline and endorphins, and these strong feelings can accidentally be tied to sexual feelings. Another reason is the cultural conditioning, societal conditioning, the media, the things the media promotes and pushes. Another layer is what men watch from porn and adult movies, adult content. A lot of adult content eroticizes a woman's pain and distress. So when they see a woman crying, mourning, a woman mourning or even crying is portrayed as pleasure. Over time, this can teach people to connect pain and tears with sex. So when these men see thousands of videos of women on porn websites crying and mourning during sex, their brains start linking female suffering with sexual excitement, and that is the problem. Now, another reason is the deeper emotional roots. Some men who are actually drawn to a woman's pain come from places of deep emotional disconnection, from dysfunctional families, dysfunctional background, dysfunctional upbringing. Maybe they didn't grow up in an environment where they were shown love or empathy, so dominance becomes the only way they make themselves feel strong. They grew up probably in an environment that they themselves also felt powerless, so the only way they were taught to survive is by showing dominance. That is the only way they felt strong. So if they cannot access intimacy or vulnerability safely, they might sexualize control instead. Another reason is fantasy versus reality. And I'm going to say this, not everyone who has these fantasies want to actually hurt someone, but there are some people who have some very weird fantasies which are also consensual. BDSM, for example, and some very crazy, wild sexual fantasies that these people have, these men have. We have consensual BDSM, role play. There are a lot of people who are into these things. Both parties are concerned, they communicate and they trust each other. But the difference between these and real cruelty is empathy and concern. There are a lot of men who will deliberately inflict pain on women because they get pleasure out of it. There are a lot of men who deliberately want to cause you pain. These are one of the reasons why men go out there raping women, taking advantage of women, inflicting pain on women, abusing women. They do this deliberately because they get some kind of pleasure causing pain to these women, causing trauma to these women. They get pleasure out of your pain. So if you've ever wondered why this happened, the answer lies somewhere between psychology, culture, and human vulnerability. But real desire should never rely on someone else's suffering. Any man who likes you, who loves you, who cares for you, who means well for you, will not use your pain for pleasure, will not put you through pain to get pleasure. When you give a man pain, he likes it, he falls in love with you. When he gives you pain, he gets pleasure out of it. So men spend their whole life looking for pain. I'm going to emphasize on this. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it helps us to understand it, and understanding it is the first step to changing it. Anyways guys, if you find this video thought-provoking, share it to your friends, share it to so many women. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Share all your honest opinions in the comment section. Be respectful and empathetic. I'm dying to see them, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Bye. Love you. Mwah.